Let's start. So this is a booklet called Toras Haccassidus, and we could jump right in. The Friedrich Rebbe. This was published in 1946. The Rebbe published it.
Maybe it wasn't in English. I just saw it because it was one of the original.
Yeah. So there's a starting point, and then so b'maynal she'elosei Toras Haccassidus. What is this? Toras Haccassidus. In response to your question, this Chochmas Toras Haccassidus, you want to know what is this? The definition of Toras Haccassidus, the Torah that we call Chassidus. Mehusa, what is its essence in Yonah? What is its function? Pe'ulasa b'kinyon ma'ilasa adam. How does it engender midas tovus? How does it highlight or punctuate people's the qualities of a human being? You also inquired about what is this Avedis Atfila, also Mehusa. What is the essence of Avedis Atfila? V'teichen pe'ulasa. What is it supposed to accomplish? Hamavia, Chochmas Toras Haccassidus, davening is the conduit that brings the Torah of Chassidus me'akeach haruchni b'poyel b'chayim. It brings it into our actual life. And the hechrich in Yonam, why they're compelled. We must have both. We must have Toras Haccassidus. We must have Avedis Atfila. B'shleimus Avedis Hashem Yisborich. Tu'udas kol hachai b'Yisrael. It's for every single Jew. It's not. Hineni bazel hashive davar al eifane. When the Friedrich Rebbe, this letter also has an aspect of Musar, meaning the person who asked the question, their inquiry included, what do you mean? Musar deals with self-improvement. Why do we need Chassidus? How is Chassidus different? But you see that the Friedrich Rebbe in his response, in quoting the question, leaves out the Musar part. Let's talk about what Chassidus is. Derech Agav, he will also touch upon Musar within, as he refers to other things. So the first thing he says like this, Isa b'Zohar. This is something we learned in Lekutei Torah, it's all the Mamorim, all the Rabbeim. The Zohar says that there are Tlas Kishrin, Miskashrin Dobedo. There are three things that connect to one another, Yisrael, Araisa, V'Kutchu Brichu. But then the point is that V'Kulhu, Dargin al Dargin, Sasim V'Galya. That each of these three have a revealed and a hidden aspect. In a likus, there's a revealed elikus and hidden elikus. And Sasim and Galya in Yidden, and Sasim and Galya in Torah. So Shleisha Eila, Kutchabrichu, Eraisa, V'Yisrael, Yesh Bahem, Galya V'Sasim. HaGalya, the Torah mitzvahs, where can one learn about the Chelek HaNigla, the revealed aspect of Torah? That's an elikus. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Mevur b'shas upeiskim rishonim v'achronim. That's where we learn about. That's the sugya of the revealed aspect of the Torah. V'asasim the Torah mitzvahs v'elikus mevur. Where is it explained? The Midrashim, and in the Zohar HaKadosh, and in Sifrei Kabbalah, as well as in Chakira and in Sifrei Musar. So, when we talk about Sifrei Musar, so there's an investigation into the motives, into the subtleties of the human condition. We raise a higher level of self-awareness. We're not talking stam about a person as a gazlan. That's not, it's more delicate. We're looking. There's a lashon from the Friedrich Rebbe somewhere. I'm sure it's in more than one place. I remember it in one of the Sifrei HaMa'amorim in Kuntres Aleph. He writes that when it comes to Grabe Averis, there's no Avoida. There's no Avoida. When a person knows that this is wrong, so when he decides to be a mensch, so it's finished. It's clear. It's not. In other words, do you want to be a mensch or you don't want to be a mensch? When you want to be a mensch, so you'll move on from that behavior. It's done. It's not a shaila anymore. So the Musar is not talking about that type of, when it's clear to you what's wrong and right. So what is it? What are we trying to do? It's about the sosin. It's about what's hidden. Chosaf Hashem Ezrei HaKodesh, the Eibishter outstretched his holy arm. V'yor lonu ayidei mereinu Abal Shem Tov and Talmidav HaKadoshim Kveit Kedushas Aviseinu Rabbeinu HaKadoshim as Toras Haccassidus. What is the function of Haccassidus? Haccassidus is mechaber hasosim va'agalya bebiyurim shonim. It shows the synergy in various ways. Haccassidus shows us how the Nigla and Haccassidus are interwoven. Ubemida Yedua, Haccassidus also is megale hateich va'apnimiyus the Torah mitzvahs. Yeah, it reveals the what's behind it. You know, I think about the final page of Tanya, where the Alter Rebbe explains about why it's so important not to speak about worldly matters on Shabbos. He says Hashem rested from creating the world through speech. So therefore, that's Pnimiyus HaShabbos. That's the language of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe says Pnimiyus. He speaks about Pnimiyus of Zocher and Shomer, Tefillah. So Haccassidus also illuminates the deeper aspect of many mitzvahs. And u'me'oreres regesh aliki belev Yisrael hachai. It awakens, it stirs a feeling for elikus in our hearts. Our hearts are awake. But they're alive, but they need to be inspired. U'beyichud. Now, to be more specific, Haccassidus Chabad hi chakira elikis. This a chakira is an investigation, and an investigation means that we're not just discovering facts. An investigation means that we use logical axioms to understand, understand on our own, to extrapolate. Maybe extrapolate is the wrong word, but to understand beyond. In other words, we set principles. A child learns mathematics, so we teach them the principles, and then they apply it to new numbers. What Haccassidus does, it doesn't reveal. It doesn't say, "Oh, by the way, there are 4 worlds. I want you to know that there are spheres, and I want you to know that there are 4 worlds, and there's something called Adam Kadmon." No. Haccassidus uses logic, reasoning, to develop and understand ideas and concepts about elikus. Like when we discuss that every creation has to resemble its creator. Meaning that the makar, the shoyrish of every nivra, it reflects, right? Earth works in one way and Shefa works in another way. So we use logical principles to develop the Chochmah and Bina and Elikus. Innovation. Chochmah is innovation, meaning for a person to discover new things. When we realize the Arizal, Tzimtzum, the Arizal came to a discovery. We learn Mamar Haccassidus where the Rabbeim weave, the Rebbe Rashab or the Tzemach Tzedek, they weave together. They they thread different shittas in Kabbalah, how they can be reconciled between different shittas, using logical principles to bring them together. So
it's like theology.
Yeah, theology is the theology of religion. Theo, yeah.
So
Science of God. So Leida ulehakir as Misha Amar v'hoya ha'olam ba'asaga sichlis, right? To know and recognize elikus logically, and Haccassidus is moira derech. Yeah. Haccassidus is moira derech. Moira derech. Moira derech. It shows us the way. Asher kol echad ve'echad lefum shiura dilei. Every person, no one's excluded, and this becomes a big theme. Thank you, Peretz.
oh wow,
In
special delivery.
a big theme in the beginning, in Ois Beis. It's Meira Derech in the second chapter. Asher kol echad ve'echad lefum shiura dilei yochel lo geshes ala kodesh. Everyone could approach Kedusha. Lavid es Hashem b'meichei v'libay. Yeah, but he's going to say further, what does it mean to be an Oived Hashem? It means that every single person is capable of experiencing Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Every single person. Toras, Haccassidus, Chabad. Im hayoisa, although it is Chakire Elikis Iyunis, although it's a deep investigation of Elikus, and it's Be'emek Nifla, it's wonderfully deep, it's profoundly deep. Hine, Bekol Zeh, Meva'eres, Kol Haskola Iyunis, Bebiu Rochov. It develops and opens and really broadens every deep idea B'dugmois u'misholim kreve ha'asaga, that every person could understand.
They cannot reach the goal, but Shull's dogmas help us to apply or to process on some process. We can focus on process.
He says, "Umasberes ba'ayin yofa," generously, beautifully. Ad asher yemuven u'musagam lektani ha'asaga. Even simple people could understand these ideas. It's a fascinating thing that the Rebbe speaks about the Ben Chomesh Lemikra. You know, I know Rashi is a Pashtan, I know. The Rebbe also, even in Kuntres and Yonah, Kuntres and Yonah, the Rebbe brings there that, and also in other places, that Haccassidus, the deepest limud, aligns with Pshat the most. Right? I always fall back to this, even though this is not, that when the Gemara says Yaakov Avinu loy meis, so the Bali Medrash, they have pshatim, what it means, but Rashi is a pashtan. So Rashi says loy meis chayu, right? In other words, the most simple approach is the most profound, right? But the idea that it should, that the Haccassidus, he says the development of the ideas in Haccassidus are intentional. It's not for a club. It's not for an intelligentsia. It's not so, Haccassidus, we're going to Reb Nachum Goldschmidt, there's got Reb Yoel, Reb Mesha Gorari, that's the ones there, Haccassidus, but no. Moving a musagam lektani asaga, a person, a kleine kop. It says, Ke'eirach limude hamuskolis. Remember that when you learn seichel, it has to be step by step. You have to have the right approach. Min hakal ala chomor. The simple principles. Hinokenu gam belimud teres Haccassidus. Asher meilich hu mishliva lishliva. Step by step, besulam hachachma v'hamada. You want to take something? Nothing?
that drink.
A little soda. Take a drink of soda. Okay. Omnom Yisrin L'Teres Haccassidus Bazeh. There's something else entirely beyond. It's very nice that Haccassidus is generous to explain, and it wants to include everyone, and it's step by step. Omnom, but there's another Yisrin, that this Torah of Haccassidus, Asher Me'oireres Gam Rikshe Alev, its purpose, it also inspires. Lehispoil Be'esa Hamida Shebelev Hamechuyeves Niyidiyasa V'hasagasa Shel Hahaskola Hahi Asher Lomad B'Teres Haccassidus. So the idea is sometimes we have to challenge ourselves, but every idea in Haccassidus, every seichel has an outcome. Every seichel is mechayev a certain result. What are the consequences of this? Right? What are the whole? I would say, what's the difference between a person who's thought through, right? A methodic, a person, someone who's mizbainen, a person who meditates, and someone who doesn't. Right? What's the difference? A person who's not mizbainen. So when you say, I'm going to become Chabad, I'm going to put on another period film. For a person who's mizbainen, so the question is, what are Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin? What's the idea? What does it mean to put them on? What is it supposed to? What is the effect supposed to be? Right? Rabbeinu Tam's are, we put them on the right side. They're Keneged Chochmah. They're more able. Why do we wear them less time? Because you need a guf noki to a higher degree than Rashi, etc., etc. So whatever the aspect is, every idea has consequences. Like you have to think. Haccassidus Chabad asks us to think through every.
We have Maskili, who was very educated, whole system, not everyone makes them.
That's right. Who ignored this? I mentioned this. We have this Hemshech Ma'amorim from 1941. I recall the Rebbe. It's one of the things that the Rebbe told Rabbi Yoel and Yechidus to learn before the Nesius. When Rabbi Yoel was a bocher, he went in. The Rebbe told him to learn that Hemshech, which the Hemshech speaks about how to meditate. What is meditation? And the Frierdiker Rebbe discusses this idea, Ba'arichus Gedola, that it's not the same Hizbeinenus that brings about Ava or Yira, right? So, and then he goes into this idea that every idea, every seichel has teitzah. There's an outcome that we have to think it through. Now comes Bereinu Abal Shem Tov Nishmase Eden Pasach Tziner Hayecheles B'Avedus Hashem Yisbarech. He made it possible. He made it. I just started Beis. Tziner Hayecheles. In other words, if I may say this, that before Matan Torah, so there's a gzeira. It's fish. You could take it off. Before Matan Torah, there's a gzeira. Yeah, Al Yenim LaYerdu Lamato. There's a gzeira. Matan Torah were mevatel the gzeira, but still there's a gzeira. It's like you don't go into the oil without going to the mikveh, right? You don't learn Kabbalah before you're 40. To be an Oived Hashem, you have to be at some kind of level. There's not everyone. The Rambam. I mean, there's a Mishnah in Chagiga, the Ein Darshan, right? There's certain things you don't learn. You don't teach Stam. The Baal Shem Tov removed. In other words, The founding of Haccassidus brought about a change in the world that every single Jew can sugain, yachol hageshet, to be an Oved Hashem. You don't have to be over 40. You don't have to know 1,000 mamorim by heart. You don't have to fast 40 days. Every person, Ba'asher Hu Sham.
Do you remember Oved Hashem, Oved Elokim?
Yes, here, good. So this is not.
That's just
right. I'm not discussing this. The Eved and Ovid and Hoive and all. Just Ba'averes Hashem Yisbarech.
Just plain.
To serve the Eibishter. Behoira'a vehadracha. He instructed and guided. Asher kol echad ve'echad mi Yisrael yochel hu lavidas Hashem. And he says, Gam anoshim shutim. Hine aidei tmimus avedasam. Their sincere dedication to the Eibishter. Ba'amiras tehillim. They're not learning Tomer Dveira. Just a sincere Af Gam Kishe'enum Yodim Pirish Amilas. And their Avos Yisrael. Miskarvim Hema B'Yiskarvus Pnimi El Hashem. They have a deeper inner connection to the Eibishter. A simple Yid that pours out their heart. Li Yos Ki Ikerhu Hamaisa. That you do the right thing, to live an upright life in conduct. V'ha'avoda b'toim leivov. You can take another plate and keep that on the other plate. Okay, to serve Hashem with sincerity, and okay, this is also something that you could also take a fork. This is also something, I don't remember which year it is. Maybe it's Tafshin Vav. The Frierdiker Rebbe, there's a Maimer ki Yedaite v'mana she'itzav v'ezbana v'ezbeisek, either Tafshin Vav or Tafshin Zayin. And also in the Kuntres, and the Frierdiker Rebbe speaks about this in several places, that Avram Avinu was Seichel Hanela Mikol Rayan. He was a genius, and at the same time he had such Toim Levov. He had such sincerity, like what we would see by the Rebbe, that type of like even a childish emunah, just completely a pshitus, and it's like we wish that as enlightened as someone is, that we should be able to go back to that sincere, simple, keep it simple is a slogan, The
Rebbe is saying, Sambat Yom Machir. He knows that's the truth.
That's it. You quote the Gemara, the Medrash, and das. Good. Yeah, so the Iker is Hamaisa, and the Avodah B'Toim Leiv, sincerely serving the Eibishter. Okay, Maisa, how you do it? So here's the famous story that we all know. We'll just read it the way that we're missing some details in the story. Uvda Have, there was an occurrence, to be wiped out, al achas hakehilos. Kshira merenu aval Shem Tov v'skayved ha'matzav hirba b'tfilo v'tachanunim b'reshishonu v'yem ha'kipurim davened and he mamish tzach gebeten. He based tfilas ne'ilah. So the Baal Shem Tov kept all of this in him. He was marbe in himself. But came to ne'ilah, the Talmidim realized, Talmidim Agdoshim b'tfilas meinu Baal Shem Tov shem matzavi shalakitu rachmanu l'tzlan uretzini b'moi. They realized this is very serious. Vayis amtzu gam hem b'tfilas tachnunim b'bchias atzumas meumka deliba. So they cried, they begged, they pleaded. Kira'es mispad le'beis ha'knesses. This was the Shtilish Manesser. When the people saw Be'ezras Yisrael or Be'ezras Noshim, Asher Merino Avshandat Amidim Agdoshim misamtzim b'tfilosim, that something's going on, they're intensifying their davening. Ukeshamom, when they heard Zakosam v'Tzakosam, they're crying and they're wailing. B'koil mar tzereach. Tzereach means screaming. B'b'chias b'tachanunim. So nishbar levavam b'kirvam, their hearts were broken. Vayivku gam heim b'tfilosim, they also cried. Keshero, Ashikvar Igias Man Filas Arvis. Reinu Baal Shem Tov Talmidei V'Akdeshim Eidom Eimdim Al Omdom. Mischaskim u'misamtzim b'tfilosam. They're still intensely davening. Evinu kulam. Not only the Talmidim, everyone understood. Ki amatzav neiruhu. And at that point, vayivku ha'anoshim v'anoshim me'emek nekudas levavam v'chias atzumas. Horrible crying. Vayihi raj gadol. It was a tremendous commotion in the shul. And this is also something that the Rebbe just insists, just relentlessly, that every one of us have that place of sincerity. In other words, that pintel yid, that yichidish of a nefesh, it's always there. It's just, something happens and we're the door opens and suddenly we're in that space. Says the Rebbe, Ze'eza Shonim, it was a couple of years, Asher Bachur, Ivri, Ben Kfar Reye Tzeinu Bakar, a shepherd boy, Bala Eliyamim Alereim L'Beis HaKnesses Shemirena Baal Shem Tov, he's been coming to daven by the Baal Shem Tov. B'yese Bur Gomor, a total ignoramus. Ha'yemid Makshiv, Umistakel, listening and looking. B'pnei Achazn, he can't say anything. He's just looking. He's an observer. Kekafri, as a village boy, hayaragel b'kela behemes, ha'izim, akvasim, atzipoirim, ha'ifis, achashuv beineim, ha'ya etzlei, by him, kela tarnagel was the most significant. V'kriyase. When he saw the Yisrachus, Agdela, Shavuos HaKnesses, Shami, when he heard Apachias, Be'ez Yisrael, Be'ez Noshim, and the Tzaikas, Anirois, Kam Lavav Nishbe V'kirbei, Ayikra Be'koil Gadol, he called out, Kukureko Hon, God Habrachmanis. Shama V'beis HaKnesses, Keil HaKere Ketanagel, when they heard this person, Nivhalu Ha'imdim Be'ez Yisrael. Yeah, they Nivhalu. I know, unfortunately, ironically, we have people today that are identifying as dogs, and we have people starting to make all kinds of sounds. V'nifchadu hashemim be'ezras noshim, they were startled. V'layadu mi'akere. V'shashoma matzaika got habrachmonis, they understood that Abocher HaKafri is mi'akere. Achodim ha'mispaldim, some of the people, asher omdu eitzel HaKafri, garu be'la ashtikei. Schweig! They wanted to chase him out. I'm the same Jew like you. The old Shamish, he calmed them. He showed them, okay, don't go anywhere. Stay there. Yeah. A few moments later, suddenly, Baal Shem Tov's voice was heard. They're davening, they're finishing up. With a special tune. Hischel Merenu Baal Shem Tov Chazoras Hashatz B'Tfilas Neila B'Seirus Miyuchada Amar Psuki Ayichud Shema Yisrael Baruch Shem Havayu Elikim V'Yoshev Merenu Baal Shem Tov Shirei Simcha. It's important to remind ourselves that this is what these psukim are all about. Right? The Shema Yisrael and the Baruch Shem and the Havayu Elikim. It's all about that purity. Kesheves meinu Hashem Talmid v'Akdesh mizuz motzi Yom Kippur hayu lesaper kol prati inyane akitru v'chmana l'tzlan shahayu le'aleinu. He told them all the details al Eda b'Yisrael, and kasher is amid b'tfilas later rach mishmayim al Eda, when he tried everything he could. Hine pagash rachmana l'tzlan kitru gadol olav. The Baal Shem Tov was being accused. What are you interfering with the process? Al Asher Mishtadel Laheshiv B'nei Yisrael, Baal Shem Tov himself is settling Jews in places where they could learn from their Goyish neighbors. And the Baal Shem Tov is doing that. There, in the stories, there's some, especially by Perlov, there's a few stories there that the people that were innkeepers and farmers in these places, that they did certain things that were Rahman al-Islam. Yeah. When they started investigating the behavior of the Jews, Ra'isi I saw Sharamatzav Kashav Ma'id. Va'isi Bikira, Bakolra. It was a bad situation. Ach Lefesa Pisa Nishma Bamorim was heard above on high. Keil Kriyose Shal Ben Akvar Hatam, the simple call, Kukurekohon, which is a result of the being in the village. Kriya Tmimazu Gorma Keras Ruach Lamaila Adrema Mailis Bitlu Akitrugim Me Ala Edo Umaila Umei Alai, from the people and from on the Baal Shem Tov. Yeah. So we have to think about. We only have to speak about the positive of Yidden. We had a discussion. We're very here in the Shull. We're very isolated. We sit Shabbos. We daven here. You know, you go to different shtiblach Shabbos if there's a kiddush, and sometimes it's very hard to see the extent of what goes on. You know. Anyway, the talking, the nivel peh, it's like it's not a. I don't know, huh? Yeah, but to see Shabbos Yidden getting together and I don't know what are they? We have an achrayus. We all have an achrayus. Yeah, no. What would we say that we're living in a time of Agzera? Would we say?
Yeah, in the last couple of months, the last couple of years. You couldn't say anything else.
So we all have an achrayus. Pakoponim. It's not about. It's not about blaming anybody. It's about taking responsibility for ourselves and realizing that what the Rambam writes, that if something negative happens and we just say that mikra nikra, it's achzorius. If we take responsibility, we could improve it. So here, the point of the Frierdiker Rebbe here with bringing the Baal Shem Tov, he started with the Zohar, and now he brought a story of the Baal Shem Tov, and he's going to bring many Toras of the Rabbeim here, is that Haccassidus, serving Hashem, the Baal Shem Tov taught us, is not an exclusive area for the intelligentsia that could be mizbainin and deep in yonim. It's even though it's Toras Haccassidus, but the Torah of Haccassidus is very well explained. It's broadly explained, step by step. And the point of it is to be me'erer halavavis, and that the Baal Shem Tov opened the door, every Yid could serve Hashem. Now he speaks about the Alter Rebbe. Kveit Kedushas Admor Azokin B'Teiras Haccassidus Meire Derech. He shows the path. L'chol HaKorev. Anyone who approaches Lageshes Al HaKodesh, Laved Es Hashem B'Meach V'Leiv. To serve Hashem with our mind, with our heart, B'Aveda B'Poyel, B'Yira Shamayim, Bein Adam L'Koinoi, between us and Hashem, B'Kiyum HaMitzvahs, and B'Midas Tevis Ben Adam L'Chaveri. Al Yedei Havana B'Meichei Hagashmi Hasoga Elikis. the avodah should be permeated through and through with seichel, the clarity of seichel, the seichel of truth, and the seichel of doing the right thing, of being consistent, right? Just clear, no deception. Sometimes I tell kids, I say, I can't. The kids are like, I come in. I say, you didn't learn much today. The kids are like, so what? It's good. We're behaving. We're behaving. The class is clean. We're being respectful to our Rebbe. So we do. So I say, your parents are trusting us that you're learning here. If like this, it's deceiving. This is deception. We're all involved in this deception. Right? So I know today we have some parents that are very smart. They're not deceived. They know exactly what goes on. But that's not right. We're here. So when we think things through, all the way, so it's the mayach and the leiv and the avodah so then it's a whole different thing. Ba'achas ha'isvadus, shehaisa ben chasidim harishonim, b'simchas ha'bar mitzvah shel ben kveit kedushas admar hazaken. There was a farbrengen. This was a farbrengen between Chassidim by the Mittler Rebbe's bar mitzvah. What was the conversation? Bias HaMashiach u'tchias HaMesim. That was the topic. One of the great Chassidim said, Asher kveid kedushas admur mechayim mesim. The Rebbe is mechayim mesim. Behezbeile, the Chassid explained, Ki hames ukar ubilti misragish. Yeah, he's numb. Va'israkshus meira alachayas. V'hayeshnei, is there something more cold than the mind? Said the Chassid. V'hayeshnei emer hachassid. Yesh kar ubilti misragish k'mei hamayach. Is there anything that's so cold? We're talking about, a kalte seichel. You could give a dugma. Could you give a dugma, cold seichel? We're in the middle of the Friedrich Rebbe. We're in the 40s. We can mention Ayn Rand. But we lahavdil. Akoponim.
Right, yeah, it's all for yourself.
It's the kaltkeit von Seichel. V'kasher hameach hakar mevin masik u'misragesh me'asoda elikis ha'ein zet chias ha'mesim. And we discussed here in the shul different times this what would happen when people would see the truth, right? People like Chassid, he left his job, he went to Lubavitch, right? Kushya Lepler had that story. You know what I'm talking about? A younger man passed by his city and Chazer a Maimer, and the guy delivered the merchandise, a young guy, and Kushya Lepler is in his 50s. He couldn't get over it. And he asked the guy, tell it to me again. I'll pay you. Couldn't get it. He's like, I'm done, I'm going to Lubavitch. He picked himself up, he went for 3 months look at this. But so many people. So that was that Reb Mendel story, that when the puppies wake up the beer, right? In other words, when the shliach catches, that's it. There are so many people that had this, that were bitten by the bug, that once you tasted the life of Haccassidus, so that's it. Their whole life changed. Mitamo, they came to life. Like Reb Mendel Vechter says, when he came to Reb Yoel, he told him he could only learn till the Rebbe Rashab.
Well, that was their shit for some people.
Right, in Satmar, the Tziyonim, that's later, but by them, and the kids are. Anyway, one night, he came to Rabbi Yoel, and at a certain point, that they were learning a few hours, at a certain point he said, you know what, we could learn a sikha. He said Rabbi Yoel started learning a sikha, and he says that there was Tchias HaMesim. He says Rabbi Yoel, when he taught the Likutei Torah, it was very nice, the Tanya, but suddenly, he was like 20 years younger. he was shturim, he came to life. He says, from that night on, we only learned sikhs. Every night we would come in, and that was it. Yeah. Is there hayesh? Is there, we'll turn off the video afterwards, I'll tell you. Is there someone who generates Tchias HaMesim like the Rebbe? So that was from the Farbrengen, by the Bar Mitzvah of the Mittler Rebbe. Peretz, you're amazing. A few minutes, okay? A few more minutes. Now you got to learn. Wow. You know what that means? That you could learn for a long time sitting down. You're not jumping. Toras Haccassidus, Neisenes v'chayes bekol dover, samach lichtig und lebendig, jede Sach. Asher bekol nivra v'neitzer, beli hevdel im tzemeach edoimim chay e medaber, tzrichim listakel boi, v'liris as advar Hashem asher bekirbe shemahava esei, mechayehu u'makayim esei. It doesn't matter what. Good evening. It doesn't matter what. I think about halfway down the page. It's like we were talking Shabbos. Yeah, what's a father? Mitamol Haccassidus, it's a whole different. Right, one who influenced his children, that left an imprint in the hadracha. You're not a sperm donor. That's not a father. A father, the others. Why are they the others? Because there's a hashpah in every. It's like when you. I'll never forget it. We were in the other room, the Talmidim, and there was an executive Danhola meeting in the. But the Danhola included the Danhola Gashmis, and Rapinya was in the room, and Rabbi Rosenfeld, and alles on Malichtik in Gan Eden, with noch a paar Menschen. And there was a discussion that the Bacharim are not, and somebody in the room said, there's no mashpia. Right? There's no one who's influencing, cultivating, developing, nurturing. There's no, and then we heard Rabbi Rosenfeld screaming. He said to Pinya, you're the mashpia. He said, no, I'm not a mashpia. There was a reason. There was a reason that he said what he said. It wasn't, but in other words, just the word itself, when say, who are you? I'm a mashpia. Real a mashpia? Yeah, I mean, like think about the weight of what that means. Right? The Mendel Futavas, one of the things he could not. It made him sick. He would say he comes to 770. He sees a shliach, whatever, walking with a balabas. So he says, "Who is this?" He says, "This is my mushpa." My mushpa. My mushpa. However, all you have to do is repeat the same words. You don't have to. But if you're thinking, as the saying, Haccassidus, it's there to illuminate. It doesn't matter what a doimim. Every little thing, but clear, exactly, precisely. What is it? And that's in ganzen anders. It's a whole different life. So he says, the Dvar Hashem, that's mehave, and mechaya, and mekayim. It's not just that it was created, it continues. Now he brings, I'm finishing with this. Okay? Balayla Asheni, the second night of Sukkot, Tov Reish Samach. Right? So Tov Reish Samach, this is 1899. Besudas Yom Tov. Hoyil Kveit Kedushas Amur, the Rebbe Rashab said as follows, Lemer. Ato, Nismali Meyoshana. It's 100 years from that Sicha Kedusha that the Alter Rebbe said, and the Mittler Rebbe also spoke about Avedis Atfilah. And he tells over what happened. Kvei Kedushas Azmur, the Tzemach Tzedek, my Zayde, told my father, meaning the Rebbe Maharash, this is what the Rebbe Rashab is saying. The Rebbe Rashab in Taf Reish Samach is repeating that my Zayde told my father that in the second night of Sukkot in Taf Kuf Samach, 1799, the Alter Rebbe asked his son, Be'eze his beinenus his palalta bereish Hashanah she'avar. What did you meditate about on Reish Hashanah? It's a Heishiv. So the Shver, the Tzemach Tzedek is saying this. My Shver, Chomi, my Shver said to the Tzemach Tzedek, his palalti, to the Alter Rebbe, I davened with his beinenus of the Chol Koim Lefanecha Sishtachave. So Lefanecha meaning for the ultimate essence, the habitul, the parts of Adam Kadmo. In Adam Kadmon, every nivra is bottled to, it's the whole, right? The full package of creation. Achareke in Shull, the Mittler Rebbe asked his father, the Ato, the Eis, his Beinunus, his Palalta, what did you daven with, Alter Rebbe? Heishiv, the Alter Rebbe answered, Ani is Palalti Mastender. Meaning, this Havas HaGashmi is creation, the Yeshus, Yesh HaGashmi, physical existence is ideas and spiritual light can't bring a table. A table is only Mea Atzmos. Zay say Meres. Asher Avedis Atfilah, he Hamevia. Right? No? Hasogas. Hasogas Amoyach, Hargoshas Alev. That's the idea of that is Beinus. Shteim Yachad, together, the mind and the heart. Aveda B'Poil. Right? The mitzvahs B'Yira Shamayim, the Kinyan Midas Tevis, to do the mitzvah.